Hello, everyone. Didn't forget the ticker. Hello, everyone. So, I just wanted to start this episode by telling you that sometimes in life you need something, but you don't get it. And I'm, of course, talking about my hair because I need a haircut, but I didn't get it. So, just bear with it. This is a live stream that happens on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. And we talk about atheism for the most part, but also certain adjacent issues. And if you want to support the show, you can do so by clicking the join button below and becoming a member of the show. Or you can just send super chats while we are talking, while the live stream is on. Today's live stream, I will warn you, might be shorter than usual. It might be around 45 minutes. Anything between half an hour to 45 minutes because I have to get to work on something and I won't be able to sit here for more than 1 hour. I want to like eat dinner and then get to that thing before going to bed. So it'll be a shorter than usual live stream. I'll read comments and at some point I'll also share a link using which people can come on screen and talk with me. But I will be limiting the number of people who come to three, and I will also be choosing what topics. If there are enough people, I don't think there's going to be so many people today. But the procedure is going to be that I will share the link. Anyone can click on it. But the first thing they should do is go to the private chat and mention the topic about which they want to talk, and whatever topic I choose, I will bring them on screen and we'll talk, and the number of people will be three, and there'll be one topic for each person. It won't be one more question for 10 minutes. Sorry about that. छोटा लाइव स्ट्रीम है आज, इसलिए थोड़ा सा एडजस्ट कर लो. But before I start, I will just remind everyone that if you want to buy merchandise and support the channel, you can do so at kadakmerch.com/vimolive. There are t-shirts, hoodies, and mugs there. Anything you buy will add to the revenue that I make from this channel. I'm an independent creator, and all the support you send is much appreciated. There is an issue with the merch store that I forgot to mention last time. The merch store ka jo tab on, like the store tab, is not showing on the channel. When I click on it, it says merch restrictions in India. I don't know what that means. I have alerted the service provider to its existence, and whenever they have an answer, I will have an answer and I'll tell you. But until then, you can simply go to kadakmerch.com/vimolive and buy the merch. You can also support the show at patreon.com/vimo. You can make a monthly or annual contribution, or you can simply go to my blog at vimo.stck.me and make a one-time contribution there by clicking the support button. So that's it. Until I share the link that people can click on, come on screen, feel free to leave your questions and comments in the live chat, which I'll be reading. Yeah, first is Tushar Singh Punjabi, who says Naste Ghanta. Oh, the Atheist Tower. Yes, very amusing, very amusing. The Indian immigrant is here. Hi, Indian immigrant. Rajam says hello. Hi, Rajam. Purvesh is here. Hello, Vimo. Hope you're doing well, both physically and mentally. Thank you, Purvesh, for asking. Uh, I'm okay. For the most part, I'm okay. Nothing to complain about. Barnali says, Good evening, Vimo. And that's the end of the comments. What is it today? आज कोई अजीब सा सैटरडे या फेस्टिवल टाइप का है क्या? कमेंट में कोई भी नहीं है. 18 लोग हैं पर कमेंट कोई नहीं कर रहा. So what I'll do is that I'll share something with you that I have been talking. Like, keep leaving your comments. I'll get it to you. I will share Lower Gate with you. So this is a publication that I have started where I am. Hold on. Share screen tab. Right. So this is Lower Gate. So Lower Gate is a publication I have started, which is basically a fantasy story site that I'm writing, except that I'm not writing all of it. What I'm doing is that I'm uh, writing this series, which is if you look at the description of it, you will see that it is being edited and directed by me. And who's writing it? Chat GPT is writing it. So what I do is that I have an outline for a story. I am telling Chat GPT the outline for the story, and I am asking Chat GPT to generate text. And then when it gives me the text, I'm putting that text together, arranging it, and editing it to create the chapters. The story is still mine, but I'm not actually engaged in the writing process of it. I'm not the writer of it. I'm the director of it. It's an experiment because AI is gaining so much prominence in creative circles that it seems very clear that in the coming few months, more and more people are going to be using AI for all manner of things. And if there is a certain kind of creative revolution happening in the creative field using AI, then I kind of want to get ahead of it. So that's why I'm doing this. On Lower Gate, there are like on Bhumi's end, there are two chapters till now. One is Arkan Root Academy and the Burning Village. I'm publishing one chapter every week. The next chapter, the third chapter, is going to be published tomorrow. So if you have not yet done so, please go over to lowergate.stack.me. That's loregate.stck.me and follow the account so that you know more. You can also go to the Lower Gate main page and click on Darshan, which is my science fiction story that is now available to read here for free. If you follow me, you can read the first three chapters वैसे but to read the last four chapters, you need to be followers of Lower Gate, and you can then read it. Darshan was a great success when it first came out as an ebook, and now I've made it into a very short web series. A sequel to Darshan is also coming sometime soon, but whenever more becomes known about it, you'll know also. So that was it. That was my introduction to Lower Gate. Let me look at uh, what is this? Tushar says that was a bad joke. I apologize. No, no, it was a very funny joke. Nastik Ghanta. Hilarious. Hilarious. I'm telling you, it was hilarious. Uh, Bernali asks, is there any scientific base of Vastu Shastra? No, there isn't. There can't be because it's unfalsifiable. All one says is that certain kind of luck becomes manifest in your life if your house is built in a certain way, which which seems to imply that there is some intelligence in nature which has some kind of power to judge as far as our lives and our moral decisions are concerned, based on the shape of things. There isn't and there can't be any scientific evidence to support such nonsense. These theories, Vastu Shastra, Feng Shui, I think it's pronounced Feng Shui, these things came into being at a very distant part of human history. I mean, it's not like superstitions are not born today. So why am I saying distant part? I don't want to imply that superstitions are a product of an ignorant past. I have done so in the past, but I don't want to continue doing it because I think irrationality is something that stays with us forever. So these things come from the human tendency to imagine things and from the human condition, which is helplessness in the face of nature. So you have life, you're living life, and certain things don't work out for you, and you're looking for meaning and happiness. But you know also that there is nothing you can do to make sure that unhappiness does not visit you. So you come up with stories about what life is. And one of those stories has to do with that uh, these superstitions, like, Vastu Shastra, these were designed to give us satisfaction of thinking that we have certain power over nature, that we have certain power over luck and destiny, which we don't because things still happen. We have gained some power over nature using the scientific method, but a lot of life still remains subject to the whims and fancies of random chance. So, Vastu Shastra and everything that people use to affect luck and happiness in life, it's mostly a way to fool yourself into thinking that you have control. That's all it is. There is no scientific evidence for it. Nishant says, did you see Javed Akhtar tweet? No, I'm not really on Twitter much these days, but if you want to, share that tweet with me. What did you say? Nishant says, about festivals. No, I have not seen it. Indian immigrant says, Eid hai aaj. Okay. To whoever is spending time with family and eating good food, have fun. Sudarshan says, today is Ramzan. Rajam says, have you heard of this Brahma Sutra? If you have heard of it, what is it in summary? I have not heard of the Brahma Sutra, and therefore I will request you again, Rajam. This is what you do in every episode. You come and ask me about something without telling me what the thing is. Things that you can Google, don't type it into live chat. If you can just search for something and find out what it is, do so and learn. Megha says, are you Vijendra Mohanty? Yes, Megha, I'm Vijendra Mohanty. That's what Vimoh means. Vijendra ka V, Mohanty ka Mo. Vimoh. That's the short form of my full name. Kailash says, hello, Vimoh. Hi, Kailash. Purvesh says, it's okay to wish people about religious festivals while we are condemning and Is it okay? While we are condemning and criticizing religions, I feel like it's being dishonest with myself as an atheist. If you don't want to, don't do it. Like, I'm not saying you have to wish people or that you should not wish people. A lot of life is lived outside the ideological sphere of our position on religion. If you're in a building and someone comes to your house and gives you sweets, maybe you have solid grounds to say that no, I will not partake of these sweets because your religion has hurt me, right? And you'll be justified in doing so. But if you're someone who's like, it's just sweets, it's food, why say no to food? How does it matter what the reason behind it is? Then go for it. I don't think there should be any hard and fast rules for atheists about how to interact with religious people, because that would turn atheism into kind of sort of a very, uh, you know, somewhat religious shape. And I don't want it. I don't want there to be rules for atheists. There are rules that should govern our conduct with other human beings, but I don't think we should be religious with respect to ये atheist लोग कभी नहीं करते, right? So Apurv says, what is the website's name? The website's name is Loregate. Loregate. Loregate.stck.me. Wait, I'll put it on screen. In fact, I'll put it on the ticker. Um, Loregate.stck.me. डिवाइडर वाला स्टार कहाँ गया? ये टेक्स्ट एडिट करना एक अजीब काम है. I wish there was an AI that could do it for me. Read my fantasy stories at loregate.stack.me. Save and show. Read my fantasy stories at loregate.stack.me. See, it's added to the ticker. Let's going back. Let's go back to yeah. Apekshit says hello. Prasad says hello. Hello, guys, and thank you for being members. Again, people learn from these fine gentlemen. Become members of the channel. Arab says trying to quit Iscon cult here. Any tips? I have never been part of the Iscon cult, so I won't be able to tell you. Like, I don't know, and I can't know how much influence the cult exerts on your life and your family's way of being. So take all that into consideration and find people online who have been in similar positions, who have been part of the cult that you're part of and who have left. Ask them what kind of challenges they faced and then make your decisions. Always, and this goes across the board, when you need help with someone or something, ask people who have gone through that situation before. Sudarshan C says, why most of them on this planet are right handed and very few left handed? Hindus consider doing work with right hand leg is very good. I don't know. I'm sure there are evolutionary reasons behind it. If you go to Forrest Valkai's channel and find out why are most humans right-handed, you'll find a video. I'm pretty sure I've seen this video at some point of time, but I'm not remembering what the reason was. Optimistic Nihilist says, Purvesh, it's basic nature, just like saying God bless you when sneezing. Hmm. Indian immigrant says, I'm seeing a lot of law students, lawyers, and academicians openly celebrating extrajudicial killings by UP police. That scares me a lot about the future of judiciary in this country. Well, uh, incoming already came, to quote Captain America. This has been the case for quite some time now. And for some reason, the people who are in power right now have no interest in keeping order. They feed on disorder and chaos. They feed on people fighting each other. They feed on law and order being destroyed. So until and unless a better government comes into power, this kind of situation, like, of course, people will always have opinions, and lawyers are people, and they have their opinions. That is not the case. But increasingly, this is becoming a popular trend, which is very worrisome. Yeah, you're right. So let's see. Let's hope for the best. Let's hope things change for the better. Nishant says Javed Akhtar said that atheists should start celebrating their own festivals twice a year. That's not a bad idea. Although festivals, as in, yeah, I mean, events, yes. A day dedicated to secularism is definitely a great idea, I think. Uh, and there should be monuments that are irreligious in nature. There are, of course, monuments that are irreligious in nature. And that's not a bad idea. मतलब ये किसने कहा है कि तुम एथियस्ट हो इसलिए तुम सेलिब्रेट ही नहीं कर सकते? Like, do we have to be sad all the time because we don't believe in God or supernatural miracles or gurus? That's just that's just bizarre. It doesn't make any sense to me. Everyone has a right to be happy, and if the price of happiness is getting together with people, so be it. I'm an introvert, but whoever likes doing that sort of thing, sure. Chikur Chuchum, thank you for the 110 rupees. Thank you for the Exodus. Hi, Vimoh. Why people tend to mob when any incident, accident happens on road? Helping or not is another issue. कुछ भी हो गया जमा हो जाओ रोड़ा रोड़ा राड़ा what is that रोड़ा करने अच्छा I don't know why people do it. I think mostly it's a function of the fact that uh, mostly it's a function of the fact that people who are sitting by the roadside have nothing to do in most cases. जो लोग दुकान पे जाके मस्ती करने के लिए बैठते हैं वो लोग वहाँ क्यों बैठे हैं क्योंकि उनके रियल लाइफ में कुछ हो नहीं रहा है तो जब सड़क के बीच में थोड़ा एक्साइटमेंट दिखता है तो सब लोग वहाँ चले जाते हैं और कुछ ना कुछ करने लगते हैं मेरे साथ ऐसा हुआ था आई वॉज सिटिंग ऑन अ रिक्शा द रिक्शा ड्राइवर मतलब साइकिल रिक्शा दिल्ली में बहुत साल पहले the rickshaw driver was pedaling very rashly. At some point, an old woman came in the middle of the road and he twisted his handle very fast. The rickshaw overturned. My friend who was sitting on this side jumped. I could not jump out. I grabbed the railings and I stayed inside the rickshaw. So when the rickshaw fell down, I was okay, except for some minor bruising on my elbow. अचानक भीड़ जमा हो गई एंड दे वांटेड टू बीट द रिक्शा वाला अप वी we we could not like we had like a 2 minute bracket within which we had to scold him give him money and ask him to get the duck out of there because some people might actually commit violence against him so सड़क किनारे वाली भीड़ को कभी अंडर एस्टिमेट मत करो इन लोगों को कुछ काम धाम नहीं होता ये लोग बस टाइम पास करने के लिए मारपीट जजमेंट सब कुछ करने को तैयार हो जाते हैं it's mostly I think a function of people being jobless again thank you for the exodus man much appreciated Tushar says would you like to share info on your personal life no Tushar I don't share info on my personal life I'm seeing a lot of books a single bed and good grays I don't want to make assumptions yeah I don't like to talk about my personal life if that's okay with you I'm sorry the books are great like this is my room this is where I work this is the computer screen in front of which I work and do my videos and live streams these are my books that's my bed that's where I sleep I actually sleep in the other room but these are आजकल गर्मी है और इस रूम में एसी है और उस रूम में नहीं है इसलिए मैं यहीं पे सो रहा हूँ but that's the extent of my personal life anything beyond those doors I don't want to talk about but thank you for understanding Megha says before Hinduism was there no religion what is Hinduism that would be my question. Is it a religion that has existed in the form that it is right now for a long time? Because no religion has existed forever, by the way. All religions are human inventions, including so what we call Hinduism. They came into being after human beings became capable of language and civilization, right? So, by that logic, no religion is ancient. All religions came into being after human beings joined together in tribes. That's one thing. Secondly, you don't find mention of the word Hindu in scriptures or ancient texts, including texts that Hindus say are their holy texts. The Bhagavad Gita doesn't mention the word Hindu. The Vedas don't mention the word Hindu. If you ask many modern ardent Hindus, they will say that they belong to something called Sanatan Dharma, which is another can of worms that I'll open some other time. But no, it is not the case at all that before Hinduism there was no religion. There were always people who figured out ways to keep tribes together. Some of these ways were based on supernatural entities, trees, animals, mountains, hills, ponds. A religion can be based on any of these things. This thing supports us and protects us. We shall worship it. All the people who worship it belong to one tribe. The tribe gets something to hang around. That's it. That's the source of religion. The need to keep tribes together and at a later point of time to define who is in the in tribe and who is in the out tribe. Those people are enemies, these people are friends. How do you know who's the friend? वो लोग ने ऐसे कपड़े पहने होंगे और ऐसे मार्क्स लगा रखे होंगे और ऐसे भाषा में बात करते होंगे. That's it. That's how religion started, to the best of our knowledge. Rajam says, have you read this Upanishads? What's your thoughts on them? If you have, I personally only read one. I have read some, but I don't remember much. And you're asking very general questions like, what are your views on water? What are your opinions on clouds? Ask me something specific, Nababa. And if that specific thing is something that you can just Google, then Google it. Apekshit says, one of my relatives visited his family after 11 months just for 2 days as he's working in a different city. He follows one of the spiritual gurus. Out of 2 days, he's at home. Apekshit kahan gaya? He spent one day at the spiritual center meditating and some Akshay Tritiya Puja, I think he's meeting his parents after so long. He must spend time with family. How can I make him understand? Let your friend make the decisions that makes him happy, right? It's not a it's like it's his decision. It's none of your business. Some people, like, you may think that he'll be happier when he does one thing, but maybe he won't be. Maybe he'll be happier when he does the other thing. His personal life is his business, even if it is religious views that you don't agree with. It's okay. Like, not everyone enjoys time spending time with their family. Not everyone, if they're given a choice between Gurudev or Mata Pita, will choose Mata Pita. It's okay. It's what makes him happy. There is Barnali. Barnali, again, thank you for the Exodus. Exodus is a thing. It's becoming a thing now. Exodus. What is the difference between Vastu Shastra and architecture? Is there any relationship between these things? Architecture is the science of building structures. Vastu Shastra is a superstition, the basis of which is that the shape of the structure affects luck. There's nothing between the two. One is actually a thing that can be learned and done and can get you tangible results. The other is a superstition. It's like, what is the difference between cats and the superstition that you should not uh, go forward when a cat crosses the road? That's the difference, I think. But thank you, Barnali, again for the Exodus. um, सबका एक्सोडस हो रहा है. Murli says, is it okay to criticize religion as well as hurt someone's religious sentiments? I don't think it is okay to do so without reason. I think if you're going to hurt someone's religious sentiments, make sure you have a reason to do so. Because otherwise, you quickly turn into a bully. And if you don't need to say something that hurts someone's religious sentiments, don't do it. People have religious views, and most people, I would even venture to say, that they are religious, but they're not bad people. Most people are not. हाँ, ऐसा हो सकता है कि कोई उनके रिलीजियस फीलिंग्स का इस्तेमाल करके उनसे बुरे काम करवाए. In which case, you should definitely say it, even if it hurts the religious sentiments. But someone is just randomly sitting outside a temple and you go up to them and you say, हाँ हाँ भगवान भगवान कुछ नहीं होता, तू गधा है. उसकी जरूरत नहीं है. We don't need more of that. It's okay to let people be, but when people are making really obviously visibly bad decisions based on their religion, which is hurting them or people around them, or just spreading a bad message in society which is causing a lot of other people to come to harm, definitely point it out, even if it hurts someone's religious sentiments. Of course, I will add one more thing. You have to be clear on why you are doing it. What is the goal behind telling someone that they're stupid because they believe in something irrational? Is it just to feel superior and smug, or is it to change their mind? If the goal is to feel superior and smug, you're a dick. Don't do it. If the goal is to change someone's mind, you have to ask yourself, what is the best way of talking to them? Are you going to change their mind if you just call them stupid? Or are you going to change their mind if you sit down for 5-10 minutes with them, talk to them, and try to lead them to a better, more rational conclusion after speaking with them and understanding why they think what they think? My goal has always been to make people understand things. So I don't usually go into the ridicule territory unless I'm absolutely pissed off for some other reason in life, right? So uh, I would say there is nothing inherently wrong with criticizing people's religious beliefs, but the person who's doing the criticism should be aware of their reasons for doing so. That's what I would say about that. The Indian immigrant says, on festivals, I only wish those who I know and are celebrating, plus I get the chance to eat better food on festivals. My only incentive to wish my friend to get invited for dinner, food, not God. Food is good. Let's just say that. Food is good. Food bless you. Kale Chip says, why is Iscon called a cult? I've personally known the word to have very negative and creepy connotations like Scientology, but Iscon seems relatively benign. What's up with that? Well, I suppose that would depend on the definition of benign. Srila Prabhupada, who was the head of ISKCON, had actively anti-science views. Uh, I have read a lot of books by ISKCON because I used to be somewhat sympathetic to this saffron group in America back when I was a right winger. And he has literally written in his books that डार्विन को कुछ नहीं पता था, एवोल्यूशन कुछ नहीं होता, ये सब बकवास है. असली साइंस भगवत गीता में है. So when a religious group has certain influence over people and it actively leads them away from science and creates a doubt about the scientific method in their mind and makes them think of a religious text which has no foundation in science as the ultimate solution to all problems, it doesn't, you don't have to be a rocket science to imagine what kind of harm it may be doing. As to the definition of cult, I don't really know, and I don't really care. I don't care if it is called a religion or a cult. The word cult does have negative connotations, but what is the actual definition? Let me look it up. अरे cult की जगह cut search कर दिया. Cult is what is the meaning of the cult? A religious group often living together whose beliefs are considered extreme or strange by many people. Yeah, so it's a bit subjective. Who are the many people who are thinking of it as, extreme? So yeah, I don't really care what it is called, but yeah. Philanthropist says, "How old is Hinduism? It can't be eternal. It should have started somewhere. No religion is eternal. No religion is eternal. In order for a religion to be eternal, it would have to exist at the beginning of the universe. At the beginning of the universe, apparently there was no life or even no earth. So I suppose it can't be eternal. No religion is eternal. I have actually a video about this on my Hindi channel, which I have completely forgotten about. I don't think I'm going to go back on the Hindi channel. By the way, fun fact, YouTube is introducing a new feature sometime soon, hopefully, which will allow people to make a video in English. And then, like, how you add subtitles, you turn it on and it starts showing on the screen. So there's going to be like Netflix or Hotstar पे होता है ना, नीचे language change कर सकते हो. So what YouTube is going to do is that it will allow you to upload a video in English and create a Hindi dub of it, Hindi track sound on of it, and upload it simultaneously. So people can be watching a Hindi video, they can just click at the bottom and choose Hindi, and the Hindi dub version will play. The video will not change, the audio will change to Hindi. So it's really cool. This takes out the need for people to start different language channels, which is great news for me because I have a Hindi channel that I have not been able to update for quite some time. I feel quite guilty about it. But if this actually comes, then I'll be uploading Hindi tracks to my main English channel. Not the English channel, my English channel. People, please listen to the wise person called Prasad Pant who says like ठोको भाई लोग. Please click the like button. अभी 50 लोग देख रहे हो, सब लोग like मार दो. Apekshit says he spent one day at a. Okay, already read that. Uh, Sayyid Hassan also says everyone like the stream, please. Yes, please listen to these wise people. Vinod says, I see that you always say that people like J. Sai Deepak, Sadhguru, Praveen Mohar, or even Beer Biceps are morons. Why don't you make a video on their illogical arguments instead of saying they're moron or nonsense people? Vinod, I have made a video about Beer Biceps. I have made a video about Praveen Mohan. I haven't gotten around to J. Sai Deepak, but I have made a video about Sadhguru also. The fact that you have not seen them is not my problem. Go to my main channel and watch them. Apekshit says, spending time with family is more important than following such a cult. He's okay, already read that. Adarsh Yadav says, is our history left tilted like the right wing says? That's an interesting question. I suppose that would depend on what you mean by left tilted. Does our history say that leftists are uh, good? I have been a history student and I have never seen a history text brazenly saying that the left is right and the right is wrong. I have never seen it. Yeah, a lot of scholars of Indian history have come from the left. And that is because the left has a tradition of intellectualism and scholarship. The right does not. The right only has bhajan and devotional sides. So, as I said in a episode a couple of weeks ago, leftist historians will very probably have no problem if right wing historians say that, yeah, this is our view of history. They're not trying to eradicate right wing perspectives of history. But the right wing is trying to eradicate so called leftist historians from our curriculum. So you only make the decision about who's more open minded and who's not. By the way, almost all literature about Indian history, scholarship, even Hinduism, almost all good scholarly literature about our culture has come from the left, not the right. And this is something that people frequently forget. But one of the reasons the right was able to start in 2014 its program of हमारे कल्चर को भूला जा रहा है, ये देखो ये है वो है, None of them would even know it if the leftist historians had not written about it. There were great stuff made about Hindu mythology by leftists. Uh, uh, I love reminding people that B.R. Chopra's Mahabharat was written by a Muslim man, Dr. Rahi Masoom Raza. I love pointing out that Ramanand Sagar, who made Ramayana, also made Alif Laila. Back then, people didn't care. People thought that it's all literature and we appreciate it because society was not out of its mind. Now, for some reason, our intellectual standards have been reduced to such a place that we can only judge literature on the basis of religion and political affiliations. And this is not good for society. Going forward, it's not good for society where people start looking at everything through the religious lens. It's not good. Optimistic Nihilist says, do you show the same interest in watching movies and documentaries like reading books and writing? I suppose, yeah. I mean, in this day and age, who isn't? Netflix is everywhere. So yeah, I do watch a lot. By the way, I wanted to tell people to watch Willow. It's on Hotstar. It's a fantasy series. Watch the movie and then the series. I have not seen the movie myself, but apparently the movie is a prequel to the series. So Willow, Willow. It shows you how epic fantasy can be progressive. Amazing story, and there is an actor in it called Amar Chadha Patel who's hilarious. So please watch it. Willow, highly recommended. Adarsh says, is our history okay? Already saw that. Already saw that. Adarsh, बार बार चिपकाने की कोशिश मत करो. Vinod says, how can we have equality in the world where people don't have equal merit, equal physical or mental characteristic, or equal resources? We cannot bring equality just being practical. No, that's not a position of practicality. It's a position of privilege. Because the people who have power in society frequently say that we only have power because we are meritorious. And that's almost never the case. You think that the son of a billionaire who can't speak two sentences in simple Hindi or English or any language is more meritorious than a Dalit student who has worked really hard in universities and colleges and schools. No, it's not. Merit is an illusory concept. Merit is an excuse. Merit does exist, but the way we use merit to justify discriminatory practices in society is just toxic. If you are a brown person in America, a white man will come and tell you that the only reason you are poor or don't have access to resources is because you don't have merit. And the only reason he is in an Ivy League school is because he has merit. When the reality is that the reason he's in an Ivy League school is because his daddy is a lawyer and he has generation wealth going back 5 generations. इंडिया में भी वही होता है। वहाँ पे रेस का जो डायनामिक है, यहाँ पे कास्ट और रिलीजन का वही डायनामिक है। People frequently want to claim that they are smart and intelligent and meritorious when they are none of those things and are, in fact, blithering idiots in order to make sure that the people who are genuinely meritorious do not become their equal in society. It's a stupid fucking argument. Don't make it again. Orion says, I have started reading The Selfish Gene yesterday, and at times I cannot understand what Dawkins is talking about, especially when he's talking off topic. I have not read The Selfish Gene. I've read River Out of Eden and The Blind Watchmaker, and I find him eminently understandable. I don't know which parts you're not able to understand. Arav says, I saw a shot of Amog Leela Prabhu claiming that he's never heard a logical argument for God's non existence. Then he says how people can get gratification and peace from something that does not exist. Well, people get gratification from Batman comics. Does that mean Batman exists? Or Spider Man or Superman? People get gratification from all kinds of fictional narratives. That's not evidence that the fictional narrative or the thing that it is describing is factually true. Amog Leela Prabhu should be readily rejected as an authority on anything if the quality of his arguments is like this. There is a video again on my Hindi channel about, it's called, I believe, desire for God is not proof of God. Just because you desire something is not proof that the thing what that you're desiring is real. Because by that logic, anyone can say anything is real. I am desiring cake on this table. Does that mean there is cake on this table? No. There is a nail cutter. I can't eat it. Amog Leela Prabhu. Curious Joe says, I remember Vimoh saying at the beginning of this year that he's going to change the setup of his room. Yeah, I remember that. But some things happened. The reason I wanted a setup there is because I wanted to set up a green screen and do some visual effects things. But at the beginning of this year, AI had not become available. Now, a lot of things are possible simply by merit of AI. A large part of it is still unaffordable for me, but I'm hoping that when things become cheaper, I will be able to do things sitting right here, which means that that part can be used for other things. I am planning to still change the setup. It's just that I won't really have to change my room anymore because AI will take care of a lot of things. You'll find out. You'll find out. Chikur Chuchum says, Bernali, what I have seen mostly, Vastu Shastra is what makes one modify already made architecture of your house. Indian immigrant says, I recently saw 1 billion year old stone kept in a showcase in Sydney. That was such a humbling experience for me. I wanted to show it to people who claim about the eternity of their religions. Yeah, yeah. I recently had a similar experience at a certain museum. I can't tell you because it's local. Tyrion Lannister says, Vimo, Marvel or DC and why? यार मैं तंग आ चुका मार्वल डीसी से ऑनेस्टली मैं पक चुका हूँ लाइक आई स्टिल वॉच अ गुड मूवी इफ इट कम्स आउट फ्रॉम आइदर साइड आई नॉट गोइंग टू टेक साइड्स but I hope you realize how effed up it is that in the last few years the only original movie that was not based on a book, a comic book, a previous movie was Free Guy by Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, Free Guy, which I didn't even like that much. It was okay, I guess, but it appears to me that the number of films that are coming out which are not based on anything else, that are original stories, is so low right now that I'm beginning to get a kind of franchise fatigue. By the way, I saw Ant Man and the Wasp some days ago. It was okay. Newski says, Vimo, Acharya Prashant is cult spiritualist as I think so. Can't you think spirituality is another type of cult? Well, yeah, it can be. Again, I said I don't really care if it is called a cult or not. That's not a primary talking point for me. Yashwan says, ironically, the word Hindu was given by the Persians who don't belong to Hinduism. Hmm. Sarcastic skeptic says, would the country be better if it were communist? I don't know. Like, I definitely think that people should have free healthcare and education, but whether or not it will become better if I don't even know what you mean by if it was communist. It is communist in certain states. We are a multicultural society. Certain states are brazenly capitalistic. Certain states are communist. Certain states are run by Hindutva parties. Certain states are run by secular parties. We are a multicultural society. Why do we have to be one thing or the other? Why do we have to be a Hindu Rashtra or a communist state? Why can't we be a state where everything has a space and all these things compete with each other in an equal marketplace of ideas? Tushar, thank you for the exodus. Tushar says Guru Dakshina. Arey yaar, Guru Dakshina mat karo. That Guru Dakshina concept itself is a bit weird for me, but I'm not a guru and you're not a student, and this is not Dakshina. You are helping an independent creator make content. Think of it that way. Orion says, it's okay if you don't want to talk about it, as in my personal life. Are you a bachelor? I just want to know how is it to stay bachelor forever. I am not married and life is okay. Shekhar says, do you ever feel like a baba when people ask for solutions to irrelevant life problems? Yeah. And I don't like it. I think people, one of the things that has happened to the internet, like, okay, so I'm old enough to remember the beginning of the World Wide Web gaining prominence in India. And one of the things that seemed like a great idea back then was that everybody can be anyone can be an expert now, and we're like, yay, everyone can be an expert now. We don't have to bow before these academics and scholars. Anyone can be an expert. And now 20 years later, the problem is that everyone is pretending to be an expert without knowing anything, and the problem has really gone out of our hands. I think expertise matters, and I hate to sound like a snob here, but I will still go on and sound like a snob. But I think a lot of people, simply because they're good salesmen, they're able to talk well, they're able to present things well, they're able to manage appearance well, get treated like experts. I made a video a couple of weeks ago about Baba culture, about how we are being forced into a future where the solution to all problems is some kind of a Baba. लोग बाबा के पास लव लाइफ के सोल्यूशन ढूंढते हैं, साइंटिफिक प्रॉब्लम्स के सोल्यूशन ढूंढते हैं, मेडिकल प्रॉब्लम्स के सोल्यूशन ढूंढते हैं, फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम्स के सोल्यूशन ढूंढते हैं, पॉलिटिकल प्रॉब्लम्स के सोल्यूशन ढूंढते हैं, फॉरेन पॉलिसी, quantum physics, everything. People are asking Babas. And the range of Babas has actually expanded because not all Babas actually look like Babas now. There are also teenagers who are making stupid 90-second videos about the scientific reasons behind chudis being round. Experts matter. Expertise matters. Topical expertise acquired through study and research and practice matters. The biggest skill is going to be to understand who's an expert and who's not. And I am always very clear. अगर मुझे कोई ऐसा सवाल पूछता है जिसके बारे में मुझे नहीं पता, मैं साफ साफ बोलता हूँ भाई ये मेरा एरिया ही नहीं है. जाके उनसे पूछो जो कि जवाब दे सकते हैं. So yeah, I feel like a baba when people ask me random stuff that I don't have any expertise about. I have a bunch of opinions about a bunch of things, but that's it. I have read some books. Whatever I know, I'm happy to share. If I have expertise on any one thing, it is probably about writing fantasy stories and some amount of cultural anthropology because I've read books. But that's it. That's it. So, yeah, it's a problem. Not just because people ask me, but because people think a lot of Babas are useful when they're not. Baba culture is very toxic and it's going to be our doom if we don't do something about it. Optimistic Nihilist says, who would win if Jaggi Bhai and Deepak Chopra debated on what is consciousness? Science would lose. Apurv says, the right cannot create good art. Yes, because the foundation of good art is compassion and the right is based on exclusion. हैं? चिकोर चुचुम वंस मोर एक्सोडस विमो शनिवार को लोग हेयर कट क्यों नहीं करते बाय द वे तुम्हारी भी हरी हेयर कट ड्यू दिख रही है जस्ट किडिंग व्यूअर्स काइंडली लाइक एंड सपोर्ट विवो yes my haircut is pending. I have not gone out because I'm lazy, but yeah. Taranga is here. Hi Taranga says history is history. Historiography cannot be so objective. Yes, yeah, the actual events are what they are. uh, the things that we choose and interpret and talk about in a certain way, those obviously can be different. KL Chip says, adding to the left-right history debate, right-wingers often try to make it look like the historians are some closed group who have full control over history. That's not true. All views are discussed. The right-wingers are projecting because when they are given charge of historiography, that's what they will do. They will try to become this controlling group of freaks who keeps everyone else out and only their version of the past becomes accepted as reality. I'm actually writing a science fiction story about it. I don't know when I'll finish it, but it's called Let's Kill Winston Churchill. Animation says that's an outlier. I don't know what they're talking about. Taranga says also just because someone has higher IQ is no reason for them to have more power or resources than someone who has lower IQ. Yeah, but the reason I don't go to that point is because I want to contest this on the beginning level itself. Do they even have higher IQ? Because if I say just because someone has higher IQ does not mean they have the right to decide, I'm conceding that first point. I want to contest on the first point itself. मैं पेड़ को उगने से पहले काटना चाहता हूँ क्योंकि अगर मैं डालियों को काटने में बिजी हो जाऊंगा ना मैं तने को खड़ा रहना दूंगा और उसके ऊपर और डालियां उग जाएंगी that's my approach to this. Cherish says the core emotion in humans and probably all species is schadenfreude. I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce it, but schadenfreude varies as per individual. When an atheist sees the pain on a believer, it's surreal. Well, not always. Not always. I don't like it. I don't like to see anyone suffering, regardless of whether they're religious or atheistic. Prasad says, Bernali, architecture is an art just like any other art form. There are some logical empirical rules in architecture based on the sunlight, wind direction, and location of a structure. Also physics, right? The structure has to be able to stand. Megha says, is there casteism in other religions too? Yes, in India, there is casteism in every religion. Caste is such a fundamental part of Indian culture that it has seeped into Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, and many religions. चिकुर says, चिकुर थैंक यू फॉर अनदर एक्सोडस. ये अलिफ लैला मेरे बचपन की नंबर 1 फेवरेट सीरीज थी. सिंदबाद एंड हिज तलवार सुलेमानी, मल्लिका हमीरा. या आई रिमेंबर दैट. Oh man, I miss it. Is Alif Lalla watchable anywhere online? If yes, people, please let me know. I believe Times of India had it available, running free somewhere. KL Chip says the best example is Aryan invasion. Nobody seriously teaches it anymore, but people continuously talk about how leftist historians perpetrate AI. Yeah, it's a dead horse. And the reason they kick it is because they don't have anything else to kick. So, फटा हुआ ढोल लेके पीट रहे हैं. Nobody actually believes in Aryan invasion theory. People who are telling you, oh, leftists are talking about, no, they're not. Nobody is. It's a rejected theory, gone. The reason right wingers continue to make it an issue is because they don't have anything else to talk about. K says, are you planning to write a new novel anytime soon? K, I'm writing a bunch of stuff right now. I'm writing the sequel of Darshan. I'm directing what is Bhumi's End, which is an AI story. I am writing a bunch of science fiction short stories. Uh, yeah, things are happening. Vinod says, you brought the argument to just merit and cunningly avoided other parameters. There was also a parameter like physical, mental characteristics, resources, etc. So you didn't mention it. If you talk about something and one of your primary things is merit, I'm obviously going to focus on merit, right? Write your question more clearly if you want me to pay attention to it. Right? You have plenty of characters. If you write in a garbled form and merit is the first thing that comes up, obviously I will talk about it. The Indian Immigrant says, Megha, yes, caste from Hinduism has influenced other religions in India as well. Newski says, Vimoh, can you debunk the argument of J. Sai Deepak? Which one? पूरे आदमी को कैसे डिबंक करेगा कोई? Which argument? Amit says, Vimoh, how can I send you short videos, clips? Do you have an email ID or do you prefer Instagram? I prefer Instagram. Share it on Instagram wherever possible. Sarcastic Skeptic says, are you a communist? Why or why not? I'm not a communist. And why or why not makes no sense. I just am not a communist. Sameep says, when you say our intellectual standards have been reduced, isn't it that it just seems that way because of social media? There were a lot of more unjustifiable practices in the past. Well, there is a thing, there is such a thing as a dominant strain of thought, like the common themes that we talk about. If a society is where mainstream media, people inside homes, social media, people talking to each other in workplaces, people talking to each other in academies and schools, people talking to each other on YouTube, if their range of topics is this much and all the other things are not being talked about, then I'm obviously going to judge society on the basis of this thing, right? That is what I'm talking about. Animation says, is atheism a movement against religions or does it exist irrespective of the existence of religion? Would people not gravitate towards some sort of irrational belief again to cope with the fear of death? I think atheism is a movement against religions. And without religion, atheism will not exist, and that will be a great thing. I pointed out to, I think, Indian Immigrant only last week that it is not my hope that atheism lasts forever, because that would mean that religion lasts forever. Atheism is only a rejection of religion. If religion disappears, atheism will stop existing. Taranga says, but Vinod, why should a person who is physically stronger have more rights or power over resources than someone who has chronic illness or disability? Yeah, I will let Taranga talk to it, Vinod. Joy Prakash says, are trans people and intersex people the same? Joy, I couldn't really say. K says, Vinod, what do you mean by equality? That everyone should be at the same level? Equality is a political context of equality of rights, equality of treatment as the elimination of oppression. Apekshit says, saw your video with Pranav about evolution being removed from NCRT. Reminded me the story that Kejriwal told about चौथी फेल राजा. बुक्स को मॉडिफाई करने से पहले स्टूडेंट्स या पेरेंट्स को तो पूछ रहे थे. ये लोग कुछ भी पूछ के करते हैं क्या? फार्म लॉज किसी से पूछ के इम्प्लीमेंट किया था? CAA किससे पूछ के गया था? उसके लिए तो पार्लियामेंट में डिबेट भी नहीं होने दी थी. ये जो जितनी ज़्यादा हीन भावना इन लोगों में भरी है, इन लोगों को लगता है कि इनको सबसे ज़्यादा पता है. इसलिए किसी को पूछना ज़रूरी नहीं समझते, व्हिच इज़ कंप्लीटली अनडेमोक्रेटिक. Joy says, did you watch the movie Dune? Yes, I did. I quite liked it. Kale Chip says, as an example, refer to the interview with Abhijit Jog. It is in Marathi, unfortunately, but he tries to create the same impression of a closed group of leftists. Mega says, share the link of your magazine you edited and directed in description of this video. It's not a magazine. So there's a publication, the link to which you can see in the thing below, in the scroll below, called Loregate, LOREGATE.stck.me. It's kind of like a Wattpad, right? Its stack is kind of like an Indian Wattpad where people can go and write serial fiction. I've written Darshan on that. I'm also writing something called Bhumi's End, but I'm not really writing it. What I'm doing is that I'm directing it. I am telling Chat GPT the ideas and I'm letting it write it. And when it writes it, I take it out, I rearrange the paragraphs, and I edit it to give it the semblance of a sane chapter. I know the story. I am the one who's deciding what happens in the story. The world of the story has been created by me, but the actual writing is being done by ChatGPT. It's an experiment, an AI experiment. You can read it at lowergate.stack.me. That is what I was talking about. Uttam says, hello, hi Uttam. Indian immigrant says, Ryan Reynolds is awesome. He's my favorite. I love his self deprecating comedy. I find a lot of similarities between him and SRK. I watched Free Guy just because he was in it, same as with SRK. Yeah, I like him. But for some reason, his movies tend to be very meh for me. I don't know why. Like, I love him. I will watch anything he's in, but I don't come away after watching his movies and thinking, oh, this is going to change my life. Rakshit, thank you for the exodus. Again, can you please debunk Jay Sai Deepak on claims that Bharat is a dharmic culture? Judiciary needs to be changed to Indic. It has no meaning. What does he mean by dharmic culture? Does he mean that none of the tribal communities have any say on the matter of what Indian culture is? Why should Indian culture be defined in terms of Brahmanical ideas about dharma? Why? It's just it's just one strain of thought among many in in a vast culture. For members of a Brahminical background, to say that India is somehow Brahminical by default is just disingenuous. There is no basis for it in reality. If today tribal communities were in power and they said that India is a tribal culture, it would be the same fallacy. Large parts of India are tribal culture, some parts of India are Brahminical culture. But India is none of these things. India is far too big and far too complicated. So for one person to say this is it's a kind of cultural imperialism. I wrote about it some time ago where I said that uh, I take with a pinch of salt when a Indic scholar says that we have been colonized, and then they wish to take away that colonization and replace it with Brahminical colonization. Replacing one colonization with another colonization is not getting rid of colonization. The problem remains the same. You've just changed the nature of the problem. विनोद says अगर सब लॉ लोगों से पूछ के इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे तो रिप्रेजेंटेटिव क्यों चुनते हैं? इलेक्शन बंद कर दो, पार्लियामेंट बंद कर दो और लोगों से पूछ के लॉ बनाओ। भैया, तुम्हें डेमोक्रेसी से प्रॉब्लम है तो जाके साउथ नॉर्थ कोरिया में रहो। हमें अपने कंट्री में जो लॉज बन रहे हैं उनमें स्टेक चाहिए। और ये स्टेक में मतलब अपने पिछवाड़े से निकाल के भी नहीं बोल रहा हूँ। There is process involved. That is why we have an opposition. That is why we have an adversarial system in parliament. That is why laws before being made are debated. तुमको इस सिस्टम से प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है तुम्हें मजा आता है किसी का गुलाम बनने में, हमें नहीं आता। तुम्हें अगर उस टाइप के देश में रहना है तो जाके किसी ऑटोक्रेटिक देश में रहो। इंडिया वो देश ना है ना होगा, अनफॉर्चुनेटली फॉर यू। Just because a person has been voted into power does not mean they get autocratic powers over an entire country. States exist. Multiple parties are in power in multiple states. If your position is that the central government has more power than anyone else, therefore, they should be doing everything without asking anyone. Civics class में सो क्यों रहे थे तुम स्कूल में जब पढ़ाई जा रही थी तब? ये तुम्हारा प्रॉब्लम है एंड इट इज नॉट आई एम नॉट योर मॉम. It is not my job to educate you in basic civics. Please go back to school and learn some shit. Taranga says, having equality is different from everyone being exact same. I don't think you are using equality in the same sense as K and I are. Yeah. Good luck. K says, Taranga, it seems like he's deliberately acting like he does not understand the difference between the two. Also saying if we have this. No, he's not deliberately acting. He's been on this live stream a number of times and he has a fundamental misunderstanding of the civic processes that make this country run. I blame our education system. जब बच्चों को सिर्फ मैकेनिक बनने की ट्रेनिंग दोगे तो सिविक्स के मामले में यही सब ज्ञान निकलेगा ना उनके मुंह से. Animation says it's so irritating that the right wing wants to promote their agenda, will shun any artist for not showing their icons exactly the way they wanted to make something contextual for myths. But you still can. Who's stopping you? Some people will always be unhappy, but that should not stop you from telling the stories the way you want to. If you're afraid for your safety, release it anonymously. Kale Chip says, hope to see Let's Kill Churchill soon. Yeah, it's half done. But with me, the thing is that sometimes things can remain half done for months altogether. But yeah, hopefully soon. Prabha Tiwari says, why Indian entertainment content is getting poorer and dumber day by day? Because the decisions are being made on the basis of what people want instead of what people need. Again, I apologize for sounding like a snob, but the storyteller's job is to decide what people need and give it to them. People don't know what they need. The storyteller is someone who has studied the art of storytelling and has also a certain kind of a responsibility towards society. जब से ये जो टीआरपी वाला बिजनेस आया ना, लोग क्या ज़्यादा देख रहे हैं, उस बेसिस पे हम वो बनाएँगे जो लोग और देखेंगे, ताकि उन प्रोग्राम्स में ऐड डाल के हम पैसे बना सकें। द एडवर्टाइज़मेंट इकोनॉमी हैज़ नॉट ओनली डन टेरिबल थिंग्स टू द न्यूज़ इकोसिस्टम, इट हैज़ ऑल्सो फक्ड अप आवर एंटरटेनमेंट industry. I remember a time where when people with training in theater and direction and storytelling used to make decisions about what will appear on Doordarshan. Now, those decisions are being made by looking at the numbers. And data is not always a good indicator of what is good for society. What people want and what people need are two entirely different things. Hmm. Newski says Jay Sai Deepak said that he gave up on leftists. On behalf of all leftists, let me just say zero fucks are given. The Indian immigrant says, Vinod, do you understand the concept of participatory democracy as public consultations? Do you get my point? Do you get my point? Uh, Raksha says parliamentary committee approval, etc., etc. Vinod says, okay, Vimoh said people should be consulted before making law. People elect representatives and they make laws. Yes, that's a child's understanding of how things work. I don't expect you to understand this overnight, but I will request you to go and get educated about how a parliamentary system works. Taranga says also government does invite public comments on all bills before making them into law. Yeah. This may come as a news to you, Vinod, but the part of the procedure is that before making a rule, public consultation is something that is done. Comments are invited. A government making a rule, typing it out on Microsoft Word, printing it out, and reading in the parliament is not procedure. It may look simple to a simple minded person, but it's not procedure. The country does not work like that. And anyone who's telling you that vote to de diya, ab unko karne do jo karna hai, it's A, laziness, B, an example of extreme privilege because your life is not getting affected by the bad rules that are being made. जब मनमोहन सिंह की सरकार में कोई बैड रूल बनता था तो बीजेपी अपोज करती थी ना, तब तो तुम लोग ये नहीं कहते थे, अरे पावर में मतलब कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, प्रोटेस्ट होते थे ना, लोग अपोज करते थे ना, लोग सड़क पे आके एक पूरा का पूरा सर्कस किए ना एंटी करप्शन मूवमेंट करके, वो सब तो नहीं होना चाहिए था फिर। अब जब तुम्हारा मुन्ना पावर में है, तुम लोग को ज़्यादा तकलीफ हो रही है ना? कहाँ कहाँ से चले आते हैं। एनिमेशन से सॉरी आई मेंट टू से mythology not myth, wanted to create contemporary art from mythology. You can, who's stopping you? Right. Rakshit, thank you for the 220 मतलब double exodus. Rakshit says tragedy is people from IIT, IIM and other professional backgrounds support that there was advanced golden age in India destroyed by Islamic invasion. We need to revive Sanskrit, Gurukul, etc. हाँ, IIT is like one of the problems with our technical education in India is that it is not informed by an understanding of social realities. This is something I have spoken about so much that okay, my throat is hurting. This is something that I've spoken about so much and written about so much that I don't even know what more I can add to it. Maybe I should write a new essay combining all those thoughts. But yeah, go to my blog and search for IIT and art students and humanities, and maybe you'll find a bunch of articles. आदर्श विमो, आपको लगता है कि एक गुरु या बाबा बोल सकता है ज्ञान बांटने वाला नो हेट आई लव यू, पर इस पॉइंट पे हमें भी तो टोक सकते हैं क्योंकि मैं भी आपसे की चीज़ें वेरीफाई और थोड़ा सीखता हूँ। सीखा देखो मेरा फिलॉसफी है नथिंग कैन बी टॉट बट एवरीथिंग कैन बी लर्नड। कोई तुमको कुछ सिखाने की बहुत ज़्यादा कोशिश करेगा, ये संभव है कि तुम कुछ भी ना सीखो। पर अगर तुम्हारे मन में सीखने की इच्छा है तो तुमको कोई सिखाए ना सिखाए एकलव्य की तरह तुम ढूंढ लोगे आंसर जो है। वो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। प्रॉब्लम यह है कि हम कहाँ से सीख रहे हैं। हम किसे गुरु बना रहे हैं और जो ज्ञान वो गुरु हमें दे रहा है, उसमें कोई दम है भी या नहीं? The guru should actually know what they're talking about. So if one sadhu baba with no qualifications becomes an expert on quantum physics, that's definitely a problem, right? Because you listen to that guy and now you don't know what is the truth because he just lied to you. Hmm. Orion says, what do you think? Is it right or wrong to promote LGBTQ in movies, especially under PG-13, or we should only recognize them but not promote in movies? I think we should recognize them and promote them as much as possible because more people need to be snapping out of the illusion that they're a very insignificant part of society. They're a huge part of society, and we cannot afford to remain invisible to them because, for all you know, someone in your close circle is member of the LGBTQ society, and the reason they're not coming out and talking about it in front of you is because you are of the opinion that we should not talk about it. Hmm. Skeptic says, is Ravish Kumar actually Nishpaksh Patrakar? I personally think so. Are people opposing him just don't admire truth anymore? Or are they right that Ravish Kumar just hates Modi? See, ये काहे का logic है कि you cannot oppose the government? Where is it written that you cannot disagree with something that the government does or has done? Who says this? The job of a journalist is to be the watchdog of democracy. Is something you're taught the first day in journalism school. So Ravish Kumar is simply doing his job. But इसके बारे में मैं एक वीडियो बना चुका हूँ, so I won't go into it in great detail. Again, we are at the 1 hour mark, so I will just take a last few comments. Megha, thank you for the 44 rupee. 44 इसका क्या बनाऊँ? Exodus नहीं बनेगा, but thank you for the 44 rupees. Rakshit, again, thank you for the 44 rupees. Rakshit says, NRI भक्स की hypocrisy की कोई सीमा नहीं रही. Uh, उसके बारे में बहुत बात कर चुके हैं और हो सकता है फिर भी करें. Tushar says, Bhaks be calling you Vimoh Maya. एक और महान joke from Tushar Singh Punjabi. Thank you, everyone. Thank everyone. Please thank him for this joke. Orion says, recently in an animated movie trailer, one frame has Protect Trans Kids banner. What are your thoughts? Especially Disney is promoting this in their every kids movies. I think it's a wonderful thing and it should happen more and more and more. Amit says they come from a position of privilege and should not be considered experts on society. Sarcastic Skeptic says, which YouTube news channels do you watch or read? What YouTubers would you suggest us to subscribe? The usual way. Like, I think that I watch some discussions on a channel called Satya Hindi. I watch The Wire. I watch the usual, Akash Banerjee and stuff. I have not actually, I have started relying, and maybe this is not a good thing. I've started relying more and more on my YouTube homepage to show me stuff. And for the most part, I'm not disappointed. One thing I do is that whenever I'm scrolling down on the main page where there is breaking news का एक tab होता है, मैं उसको close कर देता हूँ because it's just full of Hindi channel garbage. कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा होता, उसके ऊपर 50 वीडियो होते हैं. I've also stopped watching videos where the thumbnail always says बड़ा खुलासा, ये क्या बोल गए, और big news, this will change everything, but there's no information in the video. I've started telling YouTube to not show me those channels anymore because, part of responsible news media is that, you don't sensationalize things beyond what is necessary. So I think that is the main change in my news consumption habit. Amit says, irony is I'm speaking as an engineer. Megha has sent another Exodus. Thank you, Megha. Much appreciated. The Dark Knight says, make a video on how Hinduism is inconsistent with evolution. Why do you need a video on it? Isn't it like, unless someone shows evidence that it is consistent with evolution, is the natural assumption not that it is not? Why do we have to debunk things just because someone said something? I can make a video about how the Dashavatar thing is inconsistent with evolution, and that I will make at some point. Apekshit says, is there any AI that can make me anonymous? Well, that's a fairly generic thing. Right now, AI is entering a lot of industries. And the most common usages we are seeing are in generative text and generative art. I suppose if things go on, like today, I used an AI to, like, I made a video. I fed that video URL to the AI, and that AI gave me a bunch of metadata. Like, it wrote an article based on the contents of the podcast. It gave me the full transcript of the podcast. It even gave me a little box that can serve as a, like, if someone comes to watch the video and the video is 1 hour long, they can simply talk to the bot there. That bot has been trained on the data in that video, right? So if they don't have the patience to go through the entire video, they can simply ask about what does this video have to say about this thing, and it'll tell you. And that's pretty cool, right? But the article that it wrote based on that podcast was mostly repetitious. It didn't really add much to what was being said in the podcast. So it's a mixed bag right now. AI is getting there, and it's going to make a lot of work very easy in the coming days. As to whether or not that is going to be uh, useful for someone who wants to be anonymous, I don't know. I don't know yet. Hmm. Srinivas says, your opinion on showing the Egyptian Queen Cleopatra as an African woman by Afrocentrists, how justified is it? I don't know what you mean by Afrocentrist. That's the first time I'm hearing that word. But Egypt is in Africa. Egypt is in Africa. And I don't know of any account which says very clearly that Cleopatra was white or even fair skinned. So it's completely possible for Cleopatra to be black. I would add one thing though, that Egypt was a center of commerce in those days. So people from all over the world came and settled in Egypt, and there was a lot of intermarriage. So there being a variation in skin colors is not impossible, right? There could have been fair skinned people in Egypt. There could even have been white people who settled in Egypt and intermarried and created babies who are not strictly African black, right? But why can't Cleopatra be black? I don't know. What is the reason behind objection to this? Right. So before I end, two more comments. One is, do you think anti-natalism makes any sense? Do you personally think it is justified? No, I have never been convinced of it. Amit says, eventually Vimoh will train an AI on his videos and the AI can answer our questions. I do want that. But the thing is, if a tool becomes available where anyone can take any content and train that model on the basis of that content, what is to stop someone else from taking my content and training a bot based on that? So I need to have ownership of my content, and I don't know how far that is going to be possible in an age where corporations are just randomly picking up artwork by artists and creating entire generative bots on the basis of it. Um, Sarcastic skeptic says, my friend is getting religiously polarized in name of Sanatan Dharma. Should I call out and debate him because I love him? Because he just leaves in the midst of a general convo. If you can, sure. Like, to what extent is this important to you? That decision I cannot make for you. Do you think it is worth alienating your friend? Do you think it is worth challenging your friend to the degree that he will disagree with you and you will have a difficult conversation and he'll still be friends with you? All those decisions are yours. I don't know your friend. I don't know you. I don't know what kind of a relationship you have with them and how valuable that relationship is to you. So all those decisions are going to be have to be made by you. Indian immigrant says, but Cleopatra was white. She was from Ptolemaic dynasty, which was a Greek dynasty. Okay, I don't know if she was white. Like, there is a certain thing as whitewashing. Uh, if someone has an opposition to whitewashing of black characters, like so far, plenty of movies have been made on Egypt, and a lot of those roles have been played by white actors. So, for once, if someone has created an artistic representation of Cleopatra as black, I don't have a huge problem with it because this is not an endemic problem. Uh, a fantasy movie came out recently called Gods of Egypt. I loved it, but my enjoyment of it was affected greatly by the fact that every actor was white, every major actor was white. And the one black actor was Chadwick Boseman, and he was given a minor role. So, yeah, Anakin Skywalker says, your thoughts on human with science and science journey. Don't ask long answer type question. Ask something specific. Um, and that's about it, guys. We are at the 1 hour 10 minute mark. I completely forgot about getting people on to chat with face to face. But yeah, and I will see you the next time I see you. It will be Wednesday at 8 p.m. And we will do more of this. I'll take comments and I'll read comments and I'll try my best to respond to them. I will remind everyone once more that if you have failed to send a super chat and you still want to support the channel, there is a thanks button under this video if you're watching it at a later point of time that you can click on and contribute to my well-being. The money that you send helps me buy books and software and pay my bills, as I keep telling you. You can also click the join button and become a member of this channel so that uh, you can also become a member of this channel so that you get access to emojis that you can use in the chat, although no member actually uses those. I put so much hard work into those emojis, guys. If you're a member, please use them in the chat. uh, and yeah, sorry, I'm a little drained today. Throat hurts and all that. Also, the fan is off, I just realized. I don't know how I sat here for 1 hour and talked to the fan off. But yeah, I will take your leave now and I will see you on Wednesday at 8 p.m. See you, and please take care of yourselves.